we knew that she had a super PAC but we wouldn't be able to see it until after the primaries, and everybody was pissed. So there's a Silicon Valley mega donor, Carla Jurvetson, and she pretty much fueled Elizabeth Warren's super PAC with $14 million in donation alone. Okay. And let's just show you guys exactly. Well, Glenn Greenwald had a good thread, but
I love that picture of her.
He pretty much said that. And
stop.
What's this woman? Let me look at the graph that I put. Okay, so yeah. So this woman, her name is Carla Jurvetson.
Yep.
She is the same person who has funded Joe Arpaio. And Joe Arpaio, if you guys don't know, is a Republican, the sheriff.
The Arizona sheriff.
He was
slave motherfucker.
He was pardoned by Donald Trump. And he was pardoned by Donald Trump because he violated the judge's ruling that he couldn't just go around and say everybody's an illegal just because he presumed that they were illegal. And that's what he did. He was a very, very anti-immigrant guy.
Jailed a lot of people and kept them up longer.
Absolutely.
I remember him and Jane Sanders meeting each other. She goes, I want to let you know I'm for Donald Trump. She goes, I want to let you know I'm for Bernie Sanders. I'll never forget that exchange between each other. And that was pretty cool.
Jane Sanders and Nina Turner run?
So PERSIST PAC from the committee.
Yeah, so this is what her PAC was called, and it was called the PERSIST PAC. And you can look at all those zeros right here. And she's a self-employed / physician.
Wow.
And she gave $14 million. And then you can see everybody else's money there. And then there's this person who's Fox / Rothschild attorney. And that was only 1,000. And you can see all of that. Oh, little PACs here and there. But the majority, of course, is right here.
Carla Jurvetson.
Yeah. And she also has made donations to guess who? Amy Klobuchar. And multiple times for Joe Arpaio. And then, of course, Tammy Baldwin, who some idiots are trying to advocate to be VP to Bernie Sanders. You guys, no, we told you no. Emily's List. I have a huge problem with this because Emily's List is hit or miss. Sometimes they'll endorse progressive candidates and sometimes they won't. They just had endorsed the woman in Chicago who beat the 20-year incumbent, and they had endorsed her. But the reality is they are kind of hit or miss, and I think they need to respond. You do not want to be in a super PAC with Joe Arpaio. You just don't. And the fact that Elizabeth Warren is and was touting just how progressive she is and just how she doesn't accept. Can we watch this Glenn Greenwald video here that he posted?
That says righteously?
Yeah. He says righteously and deceitfully pretending that it was Bernie who was sucking up to billionaires for funding and relying super PACs and dark money when it was she who was the one desperately relying on exactly that. Turned out to be next level slithering. From Elizabeth Warren.
Slytherin.
She would be in Slytherin if it was Harry Potter.
Let's see.
Look, I don't think anyone ought to be able to buy their way into a nomination or to be president of the United States. I don't think any billionaire ought to be able to do it, and I don't think people who suck up to billionaires in order to fund their campaigns ought to do it. I heard everyone here talking about, as Democrats, we all want to overturn Citizens United because we want to end this unlimited spending. Yeah, except everyone on this stage, except Amy and me, is either a billionaire or is receiving help from PACs that can do unlimited spending. So if you really want to live where you say, then put your money where your mouth is and say no to the PACs. Look, I think the way we build a democracy going forward is not billionaires reaching in their own pockets or people sucking up to billionaires. The way we build it going forward is we have a grassroots movement funded from the grassroots up.
The grassroots movement of grassroots billionaires. The billionaire grassroots. They just love that. Like, it's disgusting. I mean, she is the worst. I mean, And here's the thing. It's funny she mentioned Amy Klobuchar because she was one of the ones that lady donated to. I just fucking love it. I'm just laughing. And how dare you say Bernie Sanders? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's the one thing you can't attack Bernie Sanders on. Come on.
It's like I said, a lot of her supporters, where were they going after? They're not going to Bernie. They're not really progressive because if you know about Elizabeth Warren, you know where she gets her money from. You pointed out the money she's transferred over from her Senate run, where a lot of that greasy money came from. She's dirty all over the place. She's two-faced. She bounces from left to right. Yeah. She lies on the reg. I'm glad it's over with her, and it doesn't surprise me that she didn't come out and endorse Bernie Sanders again this time.
And here's the thing. So now people are like, well, at least Elizabeth Warren didn't endorse Joe Biden. Okay. Yeah, but Elizabeth Warren is an opportunist. She didn't endorse Joe Biden verbally, but her actions clearly endorsed Joe Biden. I mean, she literally stayed in the race only to get votes away from
Bernie Sanders.
I mean, she cost Bernie so many votes, and that has a lot more weight than Tulsi Gabbard endorsing Joe Biden at this point in time. Now, I'm not going to say that I condone it either. But I think the reason Elizabeth Warren isn't endorsing flat out Joe Biden, even though she is in action, is because she wants to still continue tricking people that I didn't endorse anybody because, I respect Bernie and and Bernie's my friend and Senator Sanders and I. Because she wants to at some point be able to say, hold on to that progressive cred and be like, oh, yeah, like I'm progressive enough that I didn't endorse Joe Biden. So look at me. Even though it's bullshit. So don't fall for it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
This same woman was tied to Obama fundraisers, and she was among the top political donors, of course, to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. So all of these people are just one big happy billionaire grassroots family.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, baby.
And there's Tom Perez.
It's a big club.
Don't you just love him?
You ain't in it.
And so Bernie's not in it. That's the thing. And, look at how they treat them. And I mean, I think obviously Tulsi's not in it, but it's just funny seeing all these people like Neera Tanden and all those who called her a Russian asset and et cetera now praising her. That to me is disgusting. It makes me cringe.
So we looked at Greenwald. We looked at the fundraiser. We see everything that Hillary Warren is doing. Elizabeth Clinton. Sorry, what's her name?
Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren, that's it, not Elizabeth Clinton. We see everything she's doing. We called this out from the get-go, the corruption, and we knew she wasn't a true progressive.
We did call that one out.
So this is the Automatic Boost to Communities Act right here. The summary is, in response to the coronavirus crisis, the Automatic Boost to Communities Act would immediately provide a U.S. debit card preloaded with $2,000 to every person in America. Each card would be recharged $1,000 monthly until 1 year after the end of the coronavirus crisis. So she's going to try to put some wealth into people's pockets and say, this is going to help you out, this and get you further. Now, every person, it includes dependents. So every couple that would, who had two children would also receive the $2,000 up front. So if you have two children and there's you and your husband, you and your wife, you get $8,000 off the bat, and then you would get $1,000 a month from each person for the year until that clears up and helps out. And you go to the distributing of the money. They would be handed out in debit cards. Now, why she's doing this, and she talks about this, that it would even go to, and this is where she's going to get a lot of pushback on her bill. She's doing this because illegal immigrants would get the card, right? Undocumented people, whatever you want to call them. I call them undocumented. You want to call them illegal, that's on you. I don't believe any human is illegal, especially with our regime change wars, forcing these undocumented people to come here. But that's also something she's getting at. That's why she's doing the card. Rather than going through people's Social Security, whatnot, everybody gets a card. And she says the IRS would have to, or the Treasury Bureau would have to come up with a way to distribute it so that anybody in America that lives here would get it. And that's why she's proposed this type of bill. That's why she's going with the card method to say everybody gets that card. So you get distributed a card. You'll be getting distributed a card.
Wow.
So that's what she's proposing.
I mean, it's $1,000 though. I think we need a little more.
Well,
but that's
$2,000 up front and $1,000 every month.
Oh, okay, got it.
Every baby, every kid, every person.
Where do I get a baby? I'm just kidding. But no, this is really good. Rashida has been stepping up lately.
Yeah.
I mean, I love people who are not just on Twitter saying we should do this, but are putting out legislation.
Yeah, this is great.
That was a dig at somebody. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I like the fact that she's putting out legislation. Ilhan Omar also has been on it as well, and I think at least Tulsi, you know, with her UBI, and we need something, you guys. I think she is going to get a lot of pushback, even from moderate people, with the undocumented scenario, because there's, you know, when situations like this happen, when there's economic collapse, that is a perfect petri dish for blaming somebody else. And that is what, of course, Donald Trump and certain people in his party foment. And they foment that idea that these people are the problem. Now, the reality is we do have a lot of homeless people here. We do have a huge issue. Our friends were all day feeding, doing grocery shopping for the elderly, for the homeless. There's a lot of that here. And that is a crisis waiting to happen, because once there's an infection, it's going to spread.
Yeah. And you saw the way she kind of distributed it the 3 ways: direct mail, in-person pickup, and a at-risk outreach. It's a great program, because listen, I don't give a shit. You know, this is a virus right now, and anybody here is going to be endanger us more, that it can spread. We have to handle this. All people, one basket, together. So the fact that she's getting everybody money who lives here, I think, is great. She's also found a way to do it in direct mail.
Yeah.
So undocumented immigrants who are scared that ICE still doing fucking raids right now, right?
We
saw this shit, how disgusting
There's a lot of, I think she's doing it because there's a lot of undocumented people, first of all, that work under the radar, and they do work in either restaurants, cleaning, farm work, and they are part of the economy, whether their status is legal or not.
Yeah.
And so that does affect our economy. There was a documentary that was done, kind of like a fictional documentary, but it was a day without Mexicans a while ago. And the economy basically collapsed when these people disappeared. And I think that's a reality, and I think that's why she's doing it. And I think, I have zero problems with undocumented people getting aid, because, first of all, they're undocumented for our fault, mainly. You know, this whole country's history is pretty much coming in and taking over and pushing indigenous people out of the way. So let's not pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And also they pay taxes. And they don't get any of the benefits.
Yeah.
So
the whole thing is, too, is that day without a Mexican, that was a big thing. It was a Mexican radio DJ who kind of spurred this whole thing. And this movement came out, and I remember I was working at Maggiano's, an Italian restaurant, and that day was like, hey, man, what's going to happen tomorrow? Tomorrow's the day. They're going to strike. He's like, I don't know. We're still scheduled to open. And I was talking to the kitchen manager. He's like, I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll see. I'm like, can you call help? He was like, no, because the other places, all the restaurants are calling for help, because if there is nothing we can do, we can shut down.
Yep.
So I remember we go in there in the morning, and it's 9:30, and we're sitting in there, and the kitchen manager's there with his arms folded. He's kind of smiling because he's upset that they have to close down, but he's happy for the people making a stand. Yeah. And it's like, all right, so it looks like we're going to call it, because we're not going to be able to cook food and put our food out here. This is a big, giant kitchen. And all of a sudden, throughout the back door, here comes the 40 people walking in. They were hiding off to the side, and they said, listen, we just wanted to show you. You're ready to close this place down. You can't do this shit without us. Realize that in LA, we will shut your economy down. You need us just like we need you. And it was a great, powerful statement.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that.
Yeah.